Hello, beautiful people. Thank you so much for tuning into the Be Love podcast, where we talk about growing ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. Big welcome back for returning listeners, and a big welcome for those who are new. I am your host, Ashley Chaddick, and today we're going to have a deep conversation about staying positive when things are hard. I'd like to say really quickly to those who are going through hard times, one, you are loved, and two, you are never alone. If you're thinking about harming yourself or someone else, please reach out to the necessary people to get help. If you don't have anyone to reach out to, I did create an email so you can reach out to me directly. All I ask is for a little patience just in case I have a ton of emails coming in from others who are in the same situation you are in or possibly a worse situation. I will leave that email in the description for you all. I have also created a link for donations to keep the podcast going, increase its quality, and to help change the lives of others. Same thing as before, I will leave that link into the description. This is completely optional. You do not have to donate, so please don't feel the pressure to do so. Now these updates are out of the way, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. One question that I hear get asked a lot is, why do bad things happen? I personally believe it is to help others who have been or will be or are in your shoes. I know that at first it may be a little bit confusing, but I'm going to further explain what I mean by this, and hopefully, after I explain it, it'll make more sense. Losing something or someone that you loved is not a feeling that anyone forgets. I'm not sure about everyone else, but for me, I feel hollow. Like my body is here, but consciously I'm not here. And it feels like there is a weight that is tied to my body and it is dragging me down. When I do have a thought, all I can think of is what I should have done when I had the chance and what could have been. For those going through this now, please know this: they are never gone. This may sound crazy, but it is true. They will let you know that they're okay, and it may be through another person, an animal, a song, something on TV, one way or another. They will let you know that they are okay. And I'm sure that once you've had your time to grieve, they would want you to live your life. And in my personal opinion, they are in a place that has much more love to give them than anyone or anything here could give them. And if that resonates with you, please let that be your peace of mind. After you've grieved and life feels normal again, you may find someone who is going through what you went through. If and when you see this person, you'll start to see yourself in them. Obviously, they won't physically be you, but you're very familiar with what they are feeling. Their pain now was also your pain. And what do you do in that situation? You be the comfort that you had or you wish you had when that loss was still fresh in your mind. In the second episode, I did go over this briefly. I had said to remember the love you were given before the loss and hold on to it. In time, you'll be able to use it and become a light for someone in the same dark space that you were in. There are a few quotes in the Bible that talk about being this light. In the New Living Translation or NLT version, Matthew 5:14 through 16 says, "You are the light of the world, like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket. Instead, a lamp is placed on a stand where it gives light to everyone in the house." There's much more to it, but I think that I said enough to make my point. And this is just my belief. Again, if you have a different belief, that's fine. I won't ask you to believe me. It's just, to me, that verse means to be a light to those who need it, especially if you have been in their shoes. It isn't until you've learned to experience loss, you learn to appreciate what you have more fully. And I'll give you a little bit of an example to explain what I mean. Let's say all your life you've only eaten oranges and there's nothing else to eat. You might be getting sick of oranges, but that's all you have. Now, let's say somebody broke in and took all of the oranges. It isn't until that moment you start to appreciate what you had, because now you don't have anything else to eat and you appreciate those oranges more because even though you were getting sick of them, they gave you a full belly. Now, let's say you find an orange seed. You plant it, you care for it, and it turns into a big, beautiful tree. You are more appreciative of that tree, therefore, you learn to take proper care of it because you know what it's like to go without it. You go down the road and you find someone else who is also very hungry. You remember that horrible feeling that hunger had on your stomach. So you give them some oranges, you teach them how to plant and care for an orange tree. Years later, that person has more than enough to eat, and then they also pass on your act of kindness to another starving person. Are you starting to see how everything I've talked about ties together? Yes, you will get people who aren't appreciative, and some people will try to take advantage of your kindness. If they aren't appreciative, wish them luck and move on. If someone is trying to take advantage of you, set clear boundaries and stand firm in them. If they violate those boundaries, it is not selfish to cut them off and protect your peace. It's okay to help others, but don't let yourself become a doormat. And I know in some situations it's easier said than done, but you're not always going to be here. And the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for them is to set those boundaries and point them in the right direction. Because when you're not here, they're not going to know what to do. My in laws are a perfect example for this. When I was about to leave Indiana and go back to Illinois with my dad, my now husband pulled me aside and asked me to move in with him. I was a little bit concerned because at the time he was living with his mom and dad. He said he'd already talked to them and they were 100% okay with it. They treated me like flesh and blood. They made sure I ate. If I had a bad day, they listened. They gave me comfort when I had loss, and they took care of me when I was sick. Now we have our own house, and my in laws are still more than willing to step in and help us when our backs are against the wall, but they don't do everything for us, which I greatly appreciate them for that. And just in case they are listening, Mama Bear, Papa Bear, Nana, Tay, thank you guys so much for everything. You have no idea what you guys mean to us. Now that I got my little shout outs out of the way, let's just go into what to do if you find it hard to get out of a dark space. There are countless situations that you could be in, and if what I'm about to say doesn't apply to you and you still don't know what to do, please contact somebody that you highly respect and trust. When you feel absolutely hopeless and lost, it's very easy to let it affect your everyday life. Sometimes you feel bullied by your own thoughts, you don't enjoy the things you usually enjoy, you have to force yourself to get out of bed, and sometimes you don't have a reason to feel so bad. I know some people always recommend therapy because it's great to talk to a professional, but for me, therapy is not cheap and it only seemed like a band aid because I constantly have to keep going back, and that's just more money out of my pocket than I can afford at this point. So I decided to do something about it. The one question I asked that completely changed my perspective is, am I going to let this affect the life that I want? I remembered my dream life and made the decision that the ugly feeling that I was getting was not going to be a part of my future. Now, this is where what I talked about in mindful habits and goal setting comes into play. I took small steps, something that I could do now to get to where I wanted to be. I started reducing my caffeine intake. I started guided meditation videos that I found on YouTube. I started exercising. I changed my diet. All of these things I did because I enjoy the way they make me feel. If some of the things that I mentioned aren't things you enjoy, then go do something that you like to do, because when we feel good, it shows. If you've completely lost interest in some of the things that you enjoyed, try something else. Go for a walk in the park, see what's around you, look and see if there's something you haven't noticed before, or stay home and think of a new recipe or restaurant you've always wanted to try. Have it delivered to your house and enjoy the moment. When you find something you enjoy doing, you start to feel better. And we all have different interests, so there is no one true method that will work for everyone. So do what makes you feel good as long as if it has a positive impact. As we all know, life is short and it can be taken from us in any given moment, so why should we spend it feeling sorry for ourselves? What can you do right now that will make you feel good about yourself? Get a pen and a paper and write it down. Write down a couple of things if you need to. I know that everything that I'm mentioning does sound repetitive, but it's something worth trying if you have tried everything else and nothing has worked. What else do you have to lose? Why not step into your own power and take your life back? You can always choose another way. Just make the positive choice and be the light that this world needs right now. Imagine telling everyone your inspiring story, and not only will they be inspired to choose a better life for themselves, you'll also see just how far you've come. All you have to do is make the better choice. And that, my beautiful listeners, is where I will end today's episode. If you like this episode, please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any content in the future. Share the podcast with somebody who could really benefit from it. And if anything resonated with you today, you are more than welcome to leave a comment, because seeing those positive comments makes me want to work that much harder on making a positive impact in the world. I will be signing off to do homework for our next episode on what happens when you cross over to the other side. It's kind of like a part two to this one, just to give those who've experienced a great loss further peace of mind. Until then, take care, remember to be loving, and I will talk to you later.